Hello and welcome to another episode of What Have I Done? This time about the miniatures I made for our role-playing group. This video is part of the What Have I Done series. There are 5 videos in this series, and that's role-playing group, miniatures for role-playing, dioramas, replicas and stuff. The point of these videos is not to show off, but to, like they say, show and tell. And the idea is, the reason why I'm doing this is to, well, as always, to inspire you. And if you get inspired and do something based on what I show or tell, then please let me know, share pictures or videos with me, and I'd love to see and I'd love to share. So, without further ado, let's have at it. This one's going to be a little tricky because I've made a number of miniatures. And most use similar techniques and some are just, well, cobbled together, but I still wanted to show them and maybe, well, as usual, inspire you. The thing I should explain first is what we used these miniatures for. The role-playing that we did can be considered a storytelling game. So you have the game master who says, you go there, then you tell the game master and the group what your character does. There is also the element of combat, and while that can be done on a pure narrative basis, we found it fun to use terrains, terrain maps, tiles, and basically you have the grid, 1 inch square, you can move, you got a number of squares that you can move, you got reach and all that stuff. You can use miniatures as well as props, usually or best made from paper, but that's a story for a different day, to build whole scenes, rooms, houses, and use them as terrain and backdrop for the fighting or exploring, whatever you want. So, there are miniatures you can buy, Dungeons and Dragons or Wizards of the Coast. They have several lines of miniatures, which are nice and which we have used, but sometimes you need special ones, especially for your own characters. I'll just go ahead and hold some up in the camera. As far as I remember, this one should be some kind of demon lord. It's made from this stuff, wire. I think there's a wooden dowel in the center, and this is just, well, paper pieces, the paper balls cut up and put together. This one, on the other hand, is made mainly from wood. It's some kind of, well, steam engine mech thing. Number of dowels, a piece of sled here, just glued together with a few spots of color and some flames coming out of its mouth. This one, on the other hand, which is supposed to be some kind of undead, zombie, Hulk, whatever. You can see the dead spirits that he gathers, these ones here. This is made from modeling clay that you can bake in the oven to get it to harden, and I hope it's sharp. This one is some kind of winged golem, and you can probably see what is supposed to be stitch marks here where several parts have been sewn together. I kind of like it because it's colorful, but I think we never got to use it much. And keep in mind, the ones I'm showing you now are enemies or adversaries or innocent bystanders in theory. So they don't appear often and they're not meant for heavy use. As opposed to the recurring characters or the player characters. These two, for example, are Drow, which are kind of the Dungeons and Dragons dark elves. And yes, you can see this one's female. I had a strip of half spheres in a row as a decorative element, and I used to cut those up to add, well, this feature. There are also small things that you can do. We had a wizard in our party. Well, he didn't really do any proper magic, but he thought he did. And that was his fireball, which then he would put on the playing field and move to where it goes because he could somehow control it, or thought he could. Here's another one made from a piece of dowel and a lot of toothpicks, and that one's some species of spider. This green Hulk is not actually the Hulk, but well, a Hulk, and it's made from hot glue. I started down on the piece of cardboard and just built it up, kind of like 3D printing, although with a lot more hassle. Another thing you can do with that, this one's almost the same. I think I used a wire skeleton for this one, added a bit of hot glue, and then the stuff it has on is, I think it's ground cover for model railways. Just still had laying around, so don't recall what that used to be or should have been, whatever. Well, it just looks like some kind of dirt beast. This one, on the other hand, some kind of Hydra thing, not meant to be hailed. That's purely made of these pipe cleaners, I think they're called. Not as intricate, but it did the trick. And in effect, if you're doing this, you can use anything to represent a monster. You can use a shot glass, or a bigger glass for a bigger monster, or just a chunk of wood. The idea on the whole thing is to use your imagination to visualize that there's an evil dragon. If you have an actual miniature or a larger miniature of this evil dragon to put on your map, then that's okay, but you don't really need it. It's nice to have, and in these cases I found it nice to be creative with them, but like I said, chunks of wood would have done the trick as well. Here we have another one of my favorites. This is one that I made from, it's dowels here, and basically dowels and latex leftovers. The cape that's latex just poured on the surface and pulled up again. I think this was some kind of chaos creature. It looks the part. And I kinda like how the cape sets it apart. There are also some slightly more simplistic creatures. These ones, actually 3 of them, they belong together in a story, and you might be able to tell that these are undead, hence the skull looks. This one has a crown made from wire, kind of like minimalistic paint jobs with 2 colors, say. This one has the red base and then a dark red, these, I don't know what they are. And they make for a good miniature. And now we come to the actual player figures. And this is what I meant with a chunk of wood will do. These used to be the player characters, i.e. our characters in the group for the first campaign. Even something as simple as this, and it's actually just a piece of dowel cut off with a little bit of file work, no power tools necessary. And that was my own, it was a gnome. And that works pretty alright. It actually works really good once you're in the game, because you can still have a lot of fun with them. So for the second campaign I made more intricate miniatures, and did you know that most males tend to play female characters in online role-playing games? Simply because they look better. So that probably explains why out of 5 characters with 1 female player, only 1 character is male. And that's a little half orc, half gnome, so yeah. And that is all I have to show you in this video. One question that nobody has asked is, why am I doing those? And of course I can't let that go unanswered. Right now I'm doing it to free up my bench, because I took the time to gather it all up, carry it down, and now I need to get rid of it again. So there you are. And like I said, I also hope to inspire you not only to start role-playing, but also to use your creativity, to use your shop skills in ways you might not have thought of before. You can make these miniatures for any kind of game, up to making a whole chess set. And yes, I know I still owe you a video about that. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I think the next one will be a little more accessible. We'll see. More room to free on the bench. Remember to head over to my homepage to sign up for my newsletter so you don't miss anything. Neither on my YouTube channel nor on my homepage. And just in case you decide to make something inspired by what I show you, please share it with me so I can share it on, and that would be great. Thanks for watching, and remember to be inspired. A strip of, well, basically half spheres. Half spheres. The three of them I kind of like. I'll look it up and I need to color. Hey, reset.